First, though, we want you to call and describe Keir Starmer's first year using just one word, if you can. Choose your own word, if you can. I don't know if we're going to run out of words. 0207 862 2222 is the number to do that. And let's just go through the last year and just remind ourselves of some of the most important images and moments from 1 year of Keir. Isn't it amazing? It was only a year ago that we had this.
We did it!
There we are. He won the election. That was his big moment. That was like, in a way, that might have even been the high. Let's go through some of the things that have happened since then, because it has not all been plain sailing. The two-child benefit cap caused a split in Labour. It's a Tory policy. Labour MPs saying, hang on, we can't limit benefits if you go beyond 2 children. Secondly, the winter fuel allowance. Oh, my goodness, for Rachel Reeves, a nightmare. She cut it and they had to reinstate it. The pensioners went mad about it. We then had the Southport murders, dreadful, Axel Rudy Cabana. Starmer arguably showed leadership in dealing with those and responding in a compassionate way. The first budget arguably went wrong. They raised employer national insurance. They infuriated farmers as well by changing inheritance tax laws. They then said, oh, look, it's great. We paid the doctors more and train drivers more money. Others said, you paid off strikers. All that does is cause more walkouts. Grooming gangs came up. This is something that had happened in the previous few years, but even Musk got involved and said, why aren't you doing anything about it? And in the end, they launched an inquiry. We then had the letter from the King, which Starmer gave Trump. People said, Starmer handled Trump well. It is not easy to do that. So it's been a busy old year. He made a speech saying we risk becoming an island of strangers. That was almost a lift from the racist Enoch Powell, former 70s politician. He said, that's the one thing I regret. He really did. Trade deals came in, Europe, India, USA, where he picked the papers off the floor, which Donald Trump had dropped. And we're nearly there. The U-turns became a habit. Winter fuel, what is a woman, grooming gangs, international aid, national insurance, and benefits, the big one. The benefits U-turn was huge. Their whole policy was ripped up. And then we come to just a couple of days ago and the Chancellor's tears, and it may be personal or it may be a sign of tremendous disarray in this very young government. So whatever you say about it, that smile is not as fresh as it was 12 months ago, is it, Anne? Power does that, but this is exceptional.
What is exceptional about this is the sheer speed with which it's happened. Now, normally, Prime Ministers have quite a good first year in terms of, the public being fairly tolerant and, wanting to give them a chance. But Keir's personal ratings, Starmer's personal ratings, are at an all-time low within 1 year.
So minus 46.
Yeah, within 1 year of taking office. Now, that means the public really is very seriously fed up. And I think justifiably so. He's had a few good moments. I'm not going to say he's had no good moments, but he's had far more bad ones. And they've been far more catastrophic.
But when they took the winter fuel allowance away from the pensioners, the pensioners went completely potty about it. And I suppose Labour didn't. There's a lack of political nous to see that was going to happen, Marvyn.
Well, I think there was a lot of savings that he probably didn't expect he would have to make, that he didn't have to make. And in doing so, he's literally upset pretty much most of the country in doing so. But that just goes to show that no one is prepared to tighten their belts on behalf of the country. He has looked after the doctors and nurses, which is something, and I think teachers also got a raise, and train drivers. But I do feel like nobody else wants to lose out any more than they currently feel that they're already doing. But a lot of this hangover is just about how the country was run for the last 15 years. And I think as a result, they were expecting a swift change in a time frame that is absolutely unsustainable. Anybody that's done any form of change, whether personal or in a business, knows that you don't do it in 12 months.
Yeah.
And the constant measuring of his success rate and the news stories haven't helped him. But there have been some bad decisions, as Anne said.
Go on, Anne.
If other Prime Ministers can do it within the first year, there's no good reason why Starmer couldn't have a rather better showing within the first year. And when it comes to the pensioners, now, you've heard me say on this programme many times, I never thought the winter fuel allowance should be universal. But I would have stopped it at the higher rate taxpayers, whereas he went right down to pension credit. And that meant that there were genuinely, it's not just a question of not wanting to pull their belts in, genuinely unable to pull their belts in because there just wasn't that much slack.
Just take a look on the floor here. We've got a picture of Starmer outside number 10 here. And I'm going to put some words on it so you can choose the words that basically describe the year he's had. And let's start by hearing from the brilliant Ella Downey, who's headed out to ask the general public what they made of Starmer's first year. She was asking 1 year, 1 word. Here's how she got on.
How do you feel about Keir Starmer in 1 word and how he's done in the last year?
Incredibly disappointed.
Indifferent. He's yet another man of the establishment.
He's just a posh boy, he shouldn't be Labour.
How do you think Keir Starmer's done in the last year in 1 word?
1 word, 2 words, absolute
iniquitous. He's done nothing but refuse to acknowledge what is actually happening as what it actually is.
I think he's very cool.
Oh,
He's a bit of a diva, to be fair.
okay. What leads you to say that he's a diva?
The way he acts and the thought process behind it, just giving bad beat,
Dreadfully.
Why?
Because he said one thing, he's done another, he's backtracked, he's deceived, to my opinion, and he's lied.
What was that?
bored.
You're bored.
I think he's done fine.
Really?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have done anything horribly wrong. There's no sort of horrible sleaze scandals like the last few years.
Woeful.
Useless, mate. Absolute useless. Ineffectual. Everything he tries to do doesn't get through, does it?
Pragmatically, he's listening to his party, and I guess that counts for something.
I'm trying to write pragmatic is not what I thought I would see there, and I did see useless as well. God, we got some words there, haven't we? So cool, fine, lied, diva, iniquitous, disappointed, posh boy, dreadfully, pragmatic, boring. What's your word, Marvyn?
Progress.
Progress? Good, okay. Progress. Why are you laughing, Anne?
Because I don't see any progress. But anyway, I would have said clownish.
Clownish. That's such an un-Widdecombe word.
No.
Yeah, I know, but it certainly
Clownish.
suits Starmer.
Okay, clownfish or clownish?
No, clownish.
Okay, right. God, this is a job of work, isn't it? So, give us a call. We've got Jason. Jason in Lancashire, what's your word?
Mine's yesteryear.
Yes. Oh, thanks for a short one. Why do you say yesteryear?
Well, everything seems so last year with him every day.
Yeah.
We could all speak the Beatles saying yesterday, but with Keir, it's yesteryear.
Yesteryear. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Good morning, by the way, Jeremy, Anne and Marvyn.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you,
Never get
Jason.
that. That's nice.
Take care, Lancashire. Howard in Lincolnshire, what's your word, Howard?
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, panel.
Hi.
My word is unique.
I'm going to write that on his forehead because that could go both ways. I was waiting for a forehead word. Okay. Why are you saying that?
I just think for the first 6 months he had, which there's no hiding from it, was just absolutely shocking and absolutely plummeted in what he said he was going to do, his popularity. But I think since entering into the new year, I think how he's handled himself on an international level, I think certainly how he's gone about his business with Trump, and the U-turns, whereas I know a lot of people are going to say he's weak for his U-turns, but I actually think that's an acknowledgement of the mistakes that were made, the decisions that maybe shouldn't have been made in the first place, etc. So I definitely think this year, shall we say, 2025 has made up for the last part of 2024.
Right, okay. Thank you. Julie in Somerset, what's your word, Julie?
Rubbish.
Rubbish?
Here.
Why rubbish?
He is not handling the boats properly. Somebody needs to sort it out. We are spending millions of our taxpayers' money, mine especially. I went to work at 17. I paid every tax, national insurance, and I retired at 64. I now have to wait 5 months for a total knee replacement. And I'm telling you, Mr. Jeremy, I am in agony. It is very painful.
Knees
and I
are
can
the
hardly
key thing.
walk.
No, I tell you
And
what, when the
listen-
knees go, the friends go.
Absolutely. And I have a good family. That's the only reason I can cope and I can manage. I want Miss Widdecombe to be our next Prime Minister.
Well,
I
she's
think
going to
she'd
be in
a
the
good
cabinet.
sorting it out lady.
Thank you, but I'll be 81 by the next election. I think I might be retiring.
Doesn't matter. Biden did it and he couldn't even think straight. Thank you, Julie. Cheryl in Powys, hi.
Hello, good morning.
What's your word, Cheryl? Is it more positive?
No.
No.
Sorry. My words are hyphenated. They are chaotic, blundering.
Well, we've got to choose one. So we should chaotic, I like
Chaotic
blundering. I think is more. Let's do blundering. That's more personal than chaotic. Okay, I'm going to do that down the side of his jacket. Is that all right?
Put it on his face if you want to.
No, I think we've got to go a little bit more impartial on facial markings. So unique. It could be uniquely awful. Could be uniquely good. But you're obviously very disappointed, Cheryl. Are you?
Pardon?
You're very disappointed.
That's more than a word I want to use. I also have waited nearly 3 years for a knee replacement, and it is an awful agony. He switches so much. People are frightened. They really don't know what he is standing for.
Okay, Cheryl, thank you. More or after the break, so lots of people getting in touch with a word for Keir. Keir's first year. Oh, God, this has got good for the knees, this, I tell you. Now, more calls on Keir Starmer's first year as Prime Minister. Just on what we've seen so far, Marvyn, it's 70% negative, but we got a few points of light for him in there.
I felt like that it was pretty much more balanced. Some people have had some extremely been impacted by some of the things that have happened, and I get that. That's absolutely fair. But a lot of people, especially in the VT, there was some good...
Yeah.
Nuanced.
Well, I don't know.
It sounded to me very, very heavily disappointed. I think disappointed was the word that came out of it.
Yeah, well, unique can go both ways. That's why I wrote it on his forehead. Let's see, we've got Lorna. Lorna in Staffordshire, what would you like to write down? Which word?
I'd like to say it's been patchy.
Patchy, you're a very fair-minded person, I can tell. Okay, we'll put, patchy over here. And why do you say that, Lorna?
Well, he's not got everything right, but I think he's going in the right direction.
OK, thank you. Chris in Buckinghamshire, what's your word, sir?
My word is awful.
Yeah, we haven't had awful yet.
It's pretty neutral.
Yeah, no, I think awful, yeah. What's the worst moment been, Chris? We had a lot we went through.
Well, mine's probably threefold, but I mean, I'm on PIP. I have to work every day. I cry every day, which leads me on to the Rachel Reeves. You know, I'm customer facing. I can't show my tears. I have to keep working. Then, of course, you've got his grovelling at the feet of Donald Trump, saying all these things. We're being forced to vote for reform. We know politicians don't do as they say, but we literally thought we were going to get somebody who was going to look after the vulnerable. He's pushing for war all the time. I think everyone's lost with it, and now we're almost forced to go with reform. OK, Chris,
thank you. Let me move on, because I've got quite a few. Sorry. Tina in Southampton, what's your word, Tina?
Good morning. I'd like to say progressive.
Oh, well, we had progress here, so we're going to go with an I and a V. Progressive, you mean he's making progress, do you?
I do. I think overall he's progressive. There have been a couple of mistakes, but he seems to have listened to the criticisms, and generally and overall he's being very progressive. I think there seems to be a media bias against him. I mean, even your own report, whenever it was a negative comment in your report, it was just taken. If it was a positive comment, it was, oh really, why? So I just think he needs to be given more of a chance.
I hear you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Barbara in Oxfordshire, what's yours?
My word is pantomime.
OK, we're going to pantomime on the shoulder. Tell me why.
Well, it's been a comedy of errors. He's made so many. He had a long time in preparation for government, an awful long time, longer than most oppositions, and he should have done his homework about the plans he had, and I don't think any homework was done. It's just been a catastrophic. I think the whole year has been very disappointing
Okay, Barbara, thank you. Tina in Buckinghamshire. Hello, Tina. What's yours?
Hello. Mine is honest.
Honest?
Yes.
Right. Where do we put honest? That's a good... Okay, well, let's put honest...
On his mouth.
Honest on his...
It's a special request. We have to listen.
Mouth because he speaks.
You like him, right?
I didn't vote for him.
Well, why are you saying he's... I mean, honest is... I've given him a little honest moustache there. Is it...
No, give him an honest mouth because honesty is what his character. If you could cut him through, he'd be like a stick of rock. Unfortunately, that means he's naive.
Ah, I see where you're going with this, yes. So he's almost too decent for politics, you think?
He is. He is. He came late to the game.
Yep.
And he doesn't know how can I put it? No, naive is a good word as well, but I do think he's honest, and it is refreshing after 14 years to actually be able to hear words coming out of the Prime Minister's mouth that, are not said for gain or for manipulation or for effect.
Yeah, no, got you. Yeah, that's what honest is. Thank you. Heather in Hampshire. Heather.
Hello. I don't want you to be cross, but I think puppet, because I don't know who's pulling his strings.
Do we put some strings in for you here, okay? So string.
No, puppet.
Yeah, I heard you, but I'm doing some puppet strings for you, okay?
Oh, okay.
So you say and who do you think is pulling his strings then?
I wouldn't like to say. It would get me into trouble.
Ah! Okay, well, okay, I don't know where you're going with that. But you think he is he's being danced, is he? On a series of puppet strings?
A long time ago on television, there was a children's programme about Parker, the puppet, who was a chauffeur puppet for Lady Penelope.
That's Thunderbirds you're talking about, yeah.
Oh,
you think he's like... So who's Lady Penelope then?
No. Okay.
All right, that's probably as far as we get. Thank you, Heather. Chris in Hampshire, I think you might be the last one. What would you like to say, Chris?
I think he's spiteful.
Spiteful? That's the opposite of honest.
Yep, I think
you think he's quite manipulative and devious?
Yes, I do. He's attacked pensioners, he's attacked the disabled, he's attacked people in private schools,
Yep. All right, thank you very much. We've got a lot there. We got diva, rubbish, spiteful, patchy, cool, clownish, lied, yesteryear, fine, pantomime, puppet, useless, honest, iniquitous, progressive, disappointed, posh boy, dreadfully pragmatic, awful, boring. Maybe boring's the one, Anne.
I don't think so. He himself...
It's been a boring year, that's for sure.
He himself is pretty boring, but what he's done, you couldn't possibly be by or alarmed by.
I think the most interesting disagreement in there, Marvyn, is whether he's a bit naive, a bit Jimmy Carter, and he's just not very good at it, or whether he's truly quite malevolent.
I think it's really interesting that good people in politics seem to be disliked quite deeply, and the names and languages that are used about them is really interesting. And then you've got other characters who have children they can't claim, and they spend most of the time in their pub guffawing, seem to be heralded as the future of the country. So I don't align with that. I think what the caller said about honest, I feel like at least when he says something, I believe what he's saying, even if I don't agree. There's a lot of things I don't agree with that I've been quite vocal about, but that is what he believes based on the information he has, and that's who we voted for. So
okay, well, thank you. That was a very interesting little word cloud we did there. Thank you for your calls later.